In this video tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to use ShotScope's MyStrategy tool. Now this is an incredibly easy to use but very, very powerful tool that allows you to build your own strategy for any golf course across the entire world, provided that ShotScope has mapped it and it lives in their database. It is a free to use tool. You can create a ShotScope account and access it. However, if you have a ShotScope product like one of the performance tracking golf watches or handheld devices, then you'll get access to some extra features within the MyStrategy tool that I'll cover in this video. If you do want to buy one of the ShotScope products and you want to save a little bit of extra money, feel free to use my affiliate link in the description below, and my exclusive discount code AndysGolf will save you an extra 15% off of all products site-wide. But anyway, let's jump in and take a look at how we can build a strategy using ShotScope's MyStrategy tool. So you will see on screen I have logged into the ShotScope dashboard. So I'm going to click on MyStrategy at the top here. And then you'll see that we can build a strategy for one of the courses that we may be already partway through building a strategy, or we can search for nearby courses using our location, or search in here for a specific golf course. So you can search worldwide here. If I go for St Andrews Links, let's see, we've got the old course or the Jubilee course here. So let's go for the Jubilee as this example. And when we click on it, we can see a little map of the course here, and we can select the tee. So if you know which tee you're going to be playing off, it makes a big difference here because obviously ShotScope starts the strategy for each hole from that tee. So in this case, let's just go for the white tees, and then you'll see the tool opens here. So initially, on the left-hand side, you will see some statistics about how other golfers in the ShotScope ecosystem play this golf course, and in particular this hole. And you can capture some notes about the hole, and then across here you will see we actually get a map of the golf course. So we're going to use this map and this particular hole to start building a bit of a strategy. So at the top here it tells me the name of the course, it tells me the par for this hole, and it tells me the distance. So this one is 355 yards, and based on the men's data it is a stroke index 6. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here, so you can use two fingers on the Mac and pull apart, or you can click and drag and you can use the plus or minus here. So if we go back to the tee, there's a tee location here, and it's telling me that I have 205 yards to land here, leaving me 150 to the pin, which is in the center of the green in this example. I have 255 yards will take me to this point, leaving 100 yards in, and 304 yards to this point, leaving only 70 yards to the center of the green. Now if I just go up to settings here, I'm just going to turn off distances, and you will see it takes those off. So you could essentially from here just click and drag this point here, and this is where you want your ball to land. So if I wanted to know how far it is to this bunker on the left hand side, I could drop it in there and it will be 254 yards from the tee to that bunker. And to clear it, we're looking at about 260 yards. And we could move it to here and say, okay, where do I need to land it to leave myself 90 yards, for example? That would be position here. So 265 yards to that location. Personally, I always leave the distances on though. I find it quite useful just at a glance seeing roughly where we are. Now what we can also do here is we can have a look on this left-hand side. So it tells me what the average score is on this hole for all handicaps. So we're not benchmarking against anybody here. We can see the rank across the ShotScope user database. So this ranks as the 11th easiest hole, or the 11th would be the 11th most difficult, should I say. Then we have tee shots here. So the average score for somebody who misses the fairway is 4.8 if they miss on the left, of which 33% of golfers do. Average score 4.5 if they hit the fairway, and 4.6 if they miss right. So we can see looking at this that there's a pretty much an equal split between all handicap groups, left, fairway and right, but those who go right on this hole end up making a better score on average than those who go left. But we can change the handicap group here, so I'm going to drop this down to 5, which is close to my handicap of 7. And I can see now when we drop down to this handicap group, the averages here are actually equally split across, so they're all 4.6, but more people go left or hit the fairway than miss right. So what you can do now is you can zoom in and you can see basically where the kind of danger points are, And then you can see from your approaches here, how many people in that handicap bracket come up short. So 33% short, 43 find the green, and only 7% go long. So most players playing this course end up on the green in regulation, but 33% end up short, 15% right. You can then see a breakdown here of short game if you do miss the green. So you can see here, we can see if it's long, short, left or right. So 60% land right from getting, or get up and down from the right hand side, not many from the left. So probably because of this kind of bushy area or fescue that's located here. But interestingly, you can see the average putts per green in regulation, 3 on this course. So it could be on this hole with an average putts for the green on this one of 3, that the green could be really, really big or just very difficult. If we jump to the next hole, for example, on this one here, we can see that this is a par 4, it's 338 yards, stroke index 13. Again, we're still looking at the handicap benchmark here against a 5, but you can see hardly anybody misses right. Most people go left or go down the middle. But if we zoom in here, we can see why most people don't go right, and it's probably because there is a lot of danger on the right hand side. Now off the tee here, if we were to hit 238 yards, we'll land in this area here. If I adjust it though, just to see what the cover for that bunker is, we're looking at 279. So we can drop this back and see this would probably be a safe place to try and land at about 264, which for most people could be achievable. What is really good though, is if we go to weather over here, you can actually add the wind speed. So we could say that maybe the wind speed is 15 miles per hour, and you can see this is a south wind. You can change it though, so we could do northerly wind. So if we leave it south and confirm, you'll see this is now a headwind. So what this does is it shows me here what it plays like and where I can get to. So 264 yard shot actually plays more like 303 with the 15 mile an hour headwind. And then again, if we look at where we're to land, so let's say drag this back about to, let's say, plays like 230, so maybe most people on their drive might hit 230. That would leave about 136 yards in, which plays more with that wind, like 156. You can, however, go to settings though, and then you can add in something like elevation. So now you'll notice if I toggle that on or off, this little place like 156 adjusts to 157. Okay, so you can actually take elevation into account, although I'm not sure how exactly ShotScope calculates that. So it must do with various maps, but there is the option in there. Now, so far we've looked at the statistics on the left-hand side. We've compared with other golfers of certain handicap groups, and we have looked at adding wind and just generally moving our tee shot around to see where kind of would be the best place to land. Let me just turn this wind off just now though, because I want to show you the next feature that you get access to if you are a ShotScope user of a performance tracking device. And this is where I think it really pays to be using something like the V5 Golf Watch or the club tracking tags. And that's why I mentioned the discount code earlier, because if you do want to get one of those things, you can save a little bit of money. If we go down to add club here, let's just jump to the next hole for this one, in fact. So this one here we can see is a par 5, 536 yards. But if I go down to add club, you can see all of your clubs by your average distance, okay? And you can see your dispersion for each club. So this bases this on the ShotScope system and tracking all of your data, which is so helpful. You'll notice though there is a manual club area here, so you can actually go in and add your own clubs, but that's reliant on you knowing not only your distances but your dispersion, and it makes sense to use the ShotScope data, particularly if it has been tracked. So I can see here if I was to select my driver, and I'm going with active clubs because if I toggle this off, we can see other clubs that I've maybe historically had in the bag, like this TaylorMade Stealth, but active is just the clubs that I currently have set up. I'm going to go for my driver here, and then if I zoom in, what it's showing me here is my driver average is 253 yards. So I can see from this position here that I would likely clear this bunker here at 200 and land in this area here. But what you can also do is you can go to settings and you can turn on shots plotted. And what this does is this shows you all of your different shots. So you'll see I've hit some a little bit short, but also I've hit some longer. So 2 of my shots out of all of these have made it to these bunkers, but I can see that the rest of them generally will clear this one on 200 yards. You can also go into settings and you can go to use dispersion tendency. And then what this does is it tries to update roughly where you generally tend to land. So then if this is hugging the left hand side here, we can move it a little bit further over and get a better idea of maybe if I tend to land on the left, what is going to be in play there, and we can bring it across if need be. If I go to the tag here and change this to something like maybe I was thinking of using the 4 hybrid off the tee, then now we start to see that a lot of these shots are landing around about this area. So whilst the average is 221, if I zoom in, quite a lot of my shots might be landing where that bunker is. So it's really helpful, certainly for the dispersion, because you're getting to see the width there. But if you switch to something you're maybe a bit more wild with, like this 3 wood, it's a lot wider. So if it's quite a narrow fairway, although I might be carrying this bunker, I'm also bringing a lot of this into play. Whereas off the tee, even my driver here is longer and the dispersion is actually a little bit tighter with that club. Now you might be wondering why it doesn't allow you to plot your second shot. I've been thinking about this recently and I've been using this tool quite a lot on the golf course, and to be honest, I don't actually think there's much need for it to allow you to plot your second shot, because it's so reliant on you actually finding the correct position off the tee. So you could go and plot your second shot and whatnot, but if you're not very good at actually landing where you are hoping to, then that second shot probably isn't going to matter. Now, one last thing to show you, if I jump to the 4th hole, let's say for example this is a little par 4, let's try and find a par 3. There's a par 3 here. Now this one is 143 yards, so I'm going to just jump on to what I think would probably be a suitable club for this one. We're not got any wind on. I'm going to go for my 8 iron, and I can see here that with my 8 iron I'm pretty much all around here, averaging kind of the back area of the green. I can see though that quite a lot of people get up and down successfully from the back or from the left hand side of this green, or from the centre of course, whereas more people have a little bit of trouble here on the right hand side or at the front. So going long in this one might actually make sense. But I could change this to my, let's have a look at 9 iron. And with that one I've got a much tighter dispersion, but generally I'm not going to clear most of this trouble, and that's where a lot of the danger is. So I probably here would go for the 8 iron. But what I can do here is I can pop a little note into the notes area, and I could say something like, danger at the front right of the green, always best to go long and left on this hole, or long and right is safe but short and right is big trouble. So you can pop a note into here, so avoid going short and right, take extra club if need be, and then we can hit submit, and that note will be saved into my account. So then all we do when we are done is we just hit save, and it looks at every club you have selected, and then you can load this up on the mobile app as you're playing, and you can either look at your notes or you can actually look at your data. So I could do all of my homework before my round, and then I could jump back into the app during my round and just be reminded whether or not I selected my driver or 3 wood, or in this case my 8 iron from the tee. So it's a really, really useful tool. As I said, if you have access to the ShotScope tools like the V5 Golf Watch, or even the club tracking tags, which I've got some here, these Connects tags, these are only about £60, and it gives you full shot tracking. Instead of using a watch with GPS information, you screw these into your club and you make use of these with the mobile app. But that will allow you to track all of that useful data. So those are very, very good if you're looking for a cheaper option, and that discount code also works on those as well. So if you have any questions about this, drop them in the comments area below, but hopefully from this tutorial you can see just how valuable and useful this tool is. I would love to know your thoughts also in the comments, whether or not you actually regularly build a strategy for any courses you play, whether you use stroke savers on the golf course, or if you use something like a GPS watch. and I guess how useful you think that this tool would be as somebody who maybe doesn't use it. And if you do use it, let me know in the comments area how you've got on with it. But thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please do feel free to hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I've got plenty more of these videos coming, and I have a batch of ShotScope videos and tutorials on the channel that you might want to take a look at. But anyway, if you want to see how I got on building a strategy and actually putting that strategy to the test, then you might enjoy this video here.